Hello and welcome to Money Talks. I'm your host, Ed Marshall. Well, they say what's old is often new again, and that's no different for the sport of horseback riding. Horse riding is the thing to do for people new to the sport. And for those who have always mounted up, they say it's about time other people caught up with them, riding horses. Well, horseback riding is also providing economic boosts to many areas of the country. And many officials who actually study the sport say it also provides physical, mental, and emotional benefits as well. We'll tell you more when we come back.
Just think, what if we didn't have local TV and radio? Where would I go for local sports, local politics, a mayor, city council, stuff that affects me every day? How about health? Who's covering things that endanger my family? I need to know now, as it happens, from sources I trust, people in my community. No agenda, no bias like you find on cable and social media, just facts. For news I can trust, I stay local. Support your local station. Text TV to 52886 today.
Welcome back to Money Talks. Horseback riding has become in vogue, and people of all walks of life are literally galloping off into the wild blue yonder, having lots of fun and communing with nature. Well, a local gynecology physician, Mr. Benny Nobles, when he's not at East Jefferson Hospital, you'll find him out on the range with his four-legged friends, and he has two wonderful friends that we'll talk about in just a minute. Dr. Nobles, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We are talking about people who are now seem to be riding horses more and more, and of course they're getting lessons so they can ride properly. We just want to make sure that people don't just go out and say, I want to ride a horse, because it does take some learning how to ride a horse, because it can be a dangerous thing if you don't know what you're doing. But you have several horses. Tell us about your horses.
I always wanted a horse since I was a little fella, and when I was young I was in Independence, Louisiana, and friends, they were strawberry farmers, and they had a paint horse, and they also had a big mule that would hook up and follow that horse wherever he went. And I was always crazy about a horse, but I could never own a horse until later. And just in the last 20 years, one of our doctor friends, a physician who's no longer with us, gave me my first horse. It was an Arabian, and his name was Popeye. And he was trained, and I had him until he passed on. And then there was a gentleman that had horses for sale, and I was getting mature, if you will. It means older. And he had a Tennessee Walker, and she was a beautiful bay mare, and I wanted to buy her, but he made one of those offers you couldn't refuse, and I wound up with two of his other Tennessee Walker horses. And then after several years, one of my neighbors in Mississippi had he had a jackass, and he said, "You want to breed one of your horses for a mule?" And I said, "Oh, yes." And so he took my Tennessee Walker mare, and lo and behold, I had Who Dat was born.
That's a beautiful, and if you didn't really look at him close, you couldn't tell that he's not a horse. I mean, except for his ears, it's beautiful. So, what riding these animals? What do they do for you personally?
I tell my wife all the time she doesn't ride, and she allows me to ride, and I say I'm getting my mule therapy or horse therapy.
It truly relaxes you, and to me, when I ride, it kind of takes me to another place. It kind of just brings the world back into focus for me in terms of, just being able to breathe and just be one with the animal.
That is absolutely right. I was going to give my quote. My son-in-law is from Illinois, and his grandfather, who had one of these long beards, rode a horse until he was in his 80s. And his quote was, "The backside of a horse is good for the inside of a man." I will never forget that.
As indeed we should not. And of course, this also relates to camaraderie. You have had some camaraderie because you've met a lot of people through horseback riding. Tell us about some of that and some of the books that you're now involved in.
Yes, that's absolutely right. And when I met you, it was at an LSU meeting,
right,
and I heard this voice behind me, and it was you. And I think you said, "I like horses," or I turned and looked, and you had boots on, and that was our unification right there.
That's
and
right.
We just got together on that level, and I consider you a good friend.
Same here.
The folks who trained my mule that I have are very sweet and have become good friends.
Right. And some of the places that they're trained, I mean, there's a place up in Mississippi, I know there's one in Bush, there are different places, but some of the places that actually, people need to know that they need to go and be trained, that horses need to be trained, but also they need to know how to manage a horse.
Absolutely. As you know, horses are very dangerous, and I've been hurt. Not fun falling.
Right.
Yes, the individuals who trained my mule were in Amite, Louisiana, the Pullmans, and we became good friends. We have a bond there. Wonderful folks. The interesting thing is how miles separate us. I'm deeply involved, as you know, with the homeless mission, individuals.
Right.
And the individuals, I was having difficulty because I didn't ride my mule enough, and I called those folks, and they referred me to folks at Brushy Creek in Gloucester, Mississippi, Chris and Ashley Kimball, and they have a big area where they ride and also rescue. And they took my mule from me and ride him regularly while they brought some rescue horses over. And it was so amazing because I was sitting reading a book that was sent to me by a friend in Oregon.
Of all places, yeah.
And I had met him in Haiti years ago. He works for Samaritan's Purse, builds houses, and I had sent him a book that we have, Rock Bottom and Back, which is edited and so forth from the New Orleans Mission. And it's amazing how I sent him this book, and a few weeks later he sent me this book, which is an amazing book. I recommend it.
Rising. It's wonderful about how animals and people kind of rescue each other.
That's exactly right, and the stories are similar. These individuals, they give stories, and if I may, I will never forget them. I do recommend a box of Kleenex when you read it. And the first story in there is a young boy named Adam. He's about 9 years old, and they rescue children at this ranch in Oregon, and he could not look up. He was totally devastated. His father knocked all of his teeth out, and when he was intoxicated, he would shoot at him in the front yard. So the authorities brought him to this ranch, which is in Eugene, Oregon, which my friend sent me a picture for Christmas, and that's how I got it. And they said, let's put Adam with a pony. And they introduced him to a pony named Hobbs. Hobbs was a golden pony, and this little young man could not even look at you. His teeth were gone. He was totally defeated. And they put him next to Hobbs, and the folks were amazed. They said, we've never seen this. This pony grabs Adam and holds him tight. And he just couldn't believe it, and he looks up, and I remember his words. He said, he likes me, and that was a breakthrough for this devastated young man.
I wish we could go on with more and more because we have so much, we could talk forever. But I'm glad you were able to bring those pieces in because it's so important. And again, it's how horses can rescue people and people rescue horses. And that, to me, is one of those wonderful things. And horses have been with us since the Bible days, so.
That's exactly right. Actually, Ed, the individual, Kim Meter, who wrote this book, her story is amazing. She was first introduced to horses at 9 years old when her parents were involved in a murder-suicide, and her grandmother, she has her picture, gave her her first horse.
Well, I'm reading it now, so I can't wait, and I'm sure other people will do the same. I do wish you'll come back on again with us because we're running out of time, but I tell you what, it means a whole lot to me to know you as a friend and also to be a horseman so we could ride horses and share wonderful stories together. And I'm so glad that other people are getting involved with horses. But again, it does take some requirements, so they can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So always get trained, and also your horse get trained. Doc, come back and see me.
My friend.
I appreciate you. Appreciate you. And we'll see you on the range, as they say. And so many more people are out there on the range now. So be careful, but enjoy your horseback riding. We'll have more when we come back.
As soon as you play, I'm playing. I'm saying my first drum, second's your first beat. I'm saying first, you 2 feet, then we might stand up. Like first you get your hands, then I get your hands up. My sound, your throat, my dance, your feet. You hear my no heartbeat. The metronome in your chest keeps you in time till there's no time. So you sing till you got no breath, and whoever's next dances to the song you've left. Music creates movements, inspire movements. Where I am, you've been. There was you, then there is music. Music follows you.
Welcome back to Money Talks. You know, earlier we were talking about horses, but now we're talking about horsepower in terms of cars. And well, I'm teasing you because last month we talked to you about a special contract between Delgado Community College and NOLA Motorsports Park. And I have two gentlemen here. I'm so excited to talk to you about it because we love to talk about Delgado and the expansion of work that's going on with the students out there. So let me get right to it. To my immediate left is Mr. Donald Davenport. I call him the guru of auto mechanic technology over at Delgado. And of course, this fast-running man to his left, of course, is Francisco Christian, who is the CEO of NOLA Motorsports Park, that has done so much and brought so much good things to us, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But Donald, let's turn to you first and talk to you about how did this whole thing come together, and tell my audience exactly what can be expected from this agreement.
Well, this really came to fruition in the last probably 6 months or so between Frank and my dean, Dr. Stanton McNeely at Delgado Community College. We've been speaking with NOLA Motorsports for quite some time about having a high performance program to add to our repertoire of mechanical classes at Delgado. Fits in perfect for NOLA Motorsports. So it didn't hurt us in the fact that Dr. Stanton McNeely and Frank really put their heads together and developed this to come forward like we are today.
And, you know, Stanton is a personal friend of mine. I also work with him on the foundation. He's quite a guy. And so when you all first started talking about it, I'm sure Francisco, bells went off in your head, said this could be something that could be a real win-win.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the automotive industry continues to change, and whether it's development, e-technology, and hybrids, people still are always going to want to go fast, no matter what type of vehicle they have. And so we noticed that there was a gap in the marketplace for folks that were actually learning how to work on high performance vehicles. Not everybody likes to race, but a lot of people like to do spirited driving, and that's what we actually promote out at NOLA Motorsports Park. So that being said, there's a ton of drivers that don't own race cars, but they own vehicles that they like to drive fast in, do some spirited driving. And so there's not a lot of shops that can work on that. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of dealerships here that we would in some of the larger cities. So people either have to ship their vehicles to Atlanta or to Houston. Yes. So what we need to do is we need to create our own workforce here and provide them the opportunity. So what better way to do that than actually be hands-on to work on a vehicle and take it right out on track and test it, as opposed to trying to find some smooth road in the middle of Metairie.
And you all have the smoothest roads we have. We thank you for that. Donald, tell us, so when will this actual program kick off? And I'm sure you're going to be besieged by students who are going to want to get involved.
Tentatively, we're looking at fall of 17, very soon. We're developing the curriculum right now. We've got some modifications to do to the garage at NOLA. Once that's done, we're going to open up the doors for classes.
And that's going to feed in perfectly because we're also going to be building a building right out there, not far from them.
Just down the road at the Churchill Industrial Park is where the new campus, River City campus, is going to be built. That'll be coming online in about a year or so, which will be great for the area.
I got to talk to you about a little bit about NOLA Motorsports because when it came here, it's exciting. And since you've been here, and I'm not blowing smoke, but you really helped promote it and really get it to where it needs to go and it continues to go. You have lots of different projects going on out there. You just finished up a big one. Tell us what's coming up in August.
So for August is really kind of like our back to school kind of time of year, and it's actually a great time for team building. A a lot of the companies, they're kind of got to kick off that last push for, sales and things like that. So we'll have a lot of groups that come out and they'll do a morning meeting or an afternoon meeting, then do some catering, and then they head out on the track, whether that's on the go-kart track or driving the supercars with Extreme Experience, or actually taking their own vehicles out on track.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. And then as we get into September, then we've really got the fall kicks off. We've got our NASA, National Auto Sport Association, which this curriculum is going to feed into and help those guys out. And then we have Porsche Club of America that comes back into town and hosts their big event for the region. So it should be some good stuff. Good reasons to come out to the park.
I have to tell Dr. Corey, you better bring his Porsche out there because he's I like that. I like what you said because so many people say, oh, it's so dangerous. It's spirited driving. Some people like to be able to get into a place and drive the fastness or the horsepower, as we say, of the actual vehicle.
Right.
Yeah,
there's a lot of folks that don't even understand, what their vehicle can do.
Right.
You see a lot of flashy cars, when you're driving around town, but they're not going very fast. So we would rather have them in a very safe environment on a very safe track. Seeing what the car can do, getting it out there, and get it out of their system. The worst thing you can hear is somebody speeding on the 10 or across the spillway and getting into an accident because there was a slower car in their way and they tried to get around them. So
that's fantastic.
So we try to have a safe environment for people to test things out and have some fun.
That's super. And Donald, of course, all this too will hopefully feed into our economy in terms of more jobs for people in this industry.
Definitely. Frank and I have already had discussions about some of the students going through the program at NOLA, possibly working for them once they get through our classes.
That is going to be fantastic. And again, I wouldn't want to be in your shoes with how many people are going to be coming in wanting to get enrolled.
Looking forward to it.
The more the merrier.
Yes.
I tell you, we got a tweet already from a guy who says, I saw the tease and I'm really thinking about going and see what I can do to get involved in that.
Delgado has had a long history of automotive technology programs there, so this is just another facet that we can add to that jewel.
All right, appreciate it. And Francisco, thank you for making this a win-win situation for Delgado. We look forward to a long, healthy relationship between the two.
Great.
Thank you.
All righty, we appreciate you all. Well, when we come back, we're going to be talking about something else that's quite interesting. We're going to be talking about what's going on at the LSU hospital in terms of their foundation board. They've got a new president over there and also a new CEO, and they're going to be doing some new and interesting things in the fall. So stay right here.
What's the best thing about Delgado? You. Delgado helps you achieve your goals, earn a college degree, learn job skills, improve your life. Brand new facilities, lots of locations, outstanding teachers, and flexible class schedules. Delgado offers everything you need to succeed. Know what else? Delgado costs less, half as much as a state university, and you can transfer there when you're done here. Apply now. Delgado Community College, education that works for you.
In other education news, the LSU Health Foundation Board recognized Dr. James Leonard for all the work he's done as the board president to help enhance the growth at the medical school. He'll remain on the board as past president. Local business executive Carol Suggs is now the new board president and has lots of plans for the future of the foundation. The board has also chosen Matt Altier as its president and chief executive officer. Well, adding outdoor spaces to your home is not only functional, aesthetically pleasing, and a great place to entertain, but it's also a space to relax and decompress. Outdoor design experts say these spaces help eliminate stress, at least temporarily, and it might be as simple as silencing the cell phone, putting away the work, and swaying away in your hammock in your own backyard. Two of our show viewers in Carrier, Mississippi, Sam and Sarah Herring, took advantage of a beautiful lake in the distance and designed their personal refuge, a place for quiet contemplation that offers an antidote to the hustle and bustle of life. Hear to both of them. We'll have more when we come back.
Facing life's difficulties takes strength and determination. Whether it's physical challenges or struggles you can't see, it takes strength to ask for help when you need it. learn how other veterans have reached out, and hear their stories of strength and recovery at maketheconnection.net.
Well, Jefferson Parish Sheriff Newell Norman surprised many of the parish residents when he announced that he will vacate the powerful position of sheriff in Jefferson Parish and move to a new career. He'll be hosting a popular radio broadcast. Here's more from a special news conference that was held where he made that announcement.
The fact of the matter is, when certain things happen, and I get this call from WWL Radio, it really caused me to reflect upon where I was, how long I've been in this business, so forth and so on.
And we wish Sheriff Norman well in his future pursuits. Well, joining me now on the set is the Executive Director and CEO of Crime Stoppers for the Greater New Orleans area, Darlene Costanza. Good to have you back with us.
Thank you.
I think the sheriff gave us all a pretty big shock.
We were, very surprised. Certainly will miss Newell as sheriff. He's done an incredible job, and can't wait to hear the new show.
Yeah, and of course he's been a big supporter of Crime Stoppers.
Yes, he has been. He has been a wonderful help to us from the very beginning all the way up as sheriff, of course. And I will miss his wisdom. We've already made an approach to him saying, hey, now we need you as a Board of Trustee member.
There you go.
But he's been an incredible privilege to work with Newell.
Right. And I've got a feeling he's not going to drop us. He'll still be around doing something with Crime Stoppers.
Well, we sure hope so.
Certainly do. Well, let's talk about what's going on. Last month we talked about the special days of prayer in the news conference. And of course, one of the days of prayer was in July, and the next one is coming up at the end of this month. So talk to us about that.
Well, the first one, July 10th, went very well. We actually had over 46,000 people see it on their news feed, and we had over 21,000 join in on the particular streaming of the Day of Prayer, and that was at 12:30. And we hope in August that we'll be able to actually host a live presentation. We did have one at St. Anna's Episcopal. Father Terry did a beautiful prayer service with some children, and then of course a lot of the Catholic churches joined in two ways. They also, if they had a noon mass, did the family prayer against violence that we say every Sunday, and they rang the church bells.
That's fantastic.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, and what's really good, I want to reiterate, like we talked about last month, it is so key and important that, because the pastors and priests, they live in those communities and they know the people, and they can, are some of the people who can help curb crime, and people trust them. So I just want to say Crime Stoppers did a very good job in terms of incorporating people of all faiths to get involved.
Definitely.
And tell us about you. Of course, Crime Stoppers Board raised the amount, for someone who was arrested, convicted, and all that of a crime. Tell us about how that's going.
Right, so what we did was we raised the rewards in two different areas. One, particularly in shootings, because as we see, the shootings have escalated. And with that, I'm glad to say we are seeing more tips come in. Certainly, we pass that on to law enforcement for investigation, so we wait to see what that result is. And then we increased it in the rewards for homicide. So we went from $2,500 up to $5,000. And we've had several families of cold cases call us and saying, look, can you help us by increasing our child's reward? And we have done that. So we've done a great job pushing out some older cases to try to get coverage again. I think it's been well received by those families. And again, for us, though, it's always making sure people understand that it's not only the money, you're anonymous, so they have to see that we're separate from law enforcement, and the information comes in where you're never ever identified.
Right, and that's been a very good track record, and people trust Crime Stoppers, and we want to let people know too that Crime Stoppers is a 9-parish area. It's not just Orleans and Jefferson, where they hear a lot of what's going on.
Definitely. I mean, we do cover, again, 9 parishes, but we also see that our call volume and callers have changed. So before it was maybe 90% New Orleans. It's certainly now maybe 60 to 65% New Orleans, and then the other parishes have come in. And I guess another important thing that people don't realize, with this being August and school going back, we have a safe school program which students can call in and report crime anonymously. And that program's been around a long time, not as long as me, 22 years, but it's been around probably about 10 years now. And we're going to be announcing something new with that program, with a new app where kids are going to be able to use the app, again, anonymously report things. So we're always there helping, whether you're an adult, whether you're a student, whether you're a parent. Certainly having the clergy join in and pass that message along is incredible, because it's us as a team, as a village, making a difference.
And we certainly pray that we don't have any kind of school crimes or anything of that we've had in the past. But these having this kind of program on the ground will be helpful.
Definitely, and it's preventative. I mean, this is what's different with the students.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about things that they can actually understand, educate themselves about, and then also learn where they have opportunities to choose a different path. And for students, I mean, just being heard is usually the first step. So it's all positives. When we go visit the schools, the kids are amazing what they tell. We are educated too.
Yeah.
You know, but again, they realize that, you know, there are folks out there that are actually allowing them to be heard and make a difference.
And what I like each year, of course, is the student congress that's held, where young people from all the public, private, all the different schools, they come together. Most of them have never met each other, and their stories are all so interconnected.
Yeah, absolutely. They're very wise. I mean, regretfully, children see things at a very young age. I mean, that we maybe have never had to see at that age. So they ask tough questions, and I think they're trying to hold adults accountable. And that's important. I mean, I know we have a leadership program, which we're taking applications now called our Teen Ambassadors Against Crime, and that's all for high school students. But what those kids learn is the fact that there are, you know, how do we change the system? How do we kind of push the button in the right way? And I mean, and all of us as parents, I mean, that's what we want our kids to be, critical thinkers.
Right.
We want them to be able to know that they are, you know, they do have a choice in their paths.
And the Teen Ambassadors, kids want to get involved. How do they do that?
They can call our office, which if you call the hotline, they'll get you to us. But our office number is 837-8477. The website is crimestoppersgno.org. There's applications under our youth programs, but we could send an application. You do have to have a school principal or someone support you, you know, when you want to apply. But you know, it's been a great program. This is, I think, our 6th year, and these kids get to see a lot in network. It's great for internships, and actually kids have gotten scholarships from coming through the program.
That's fantastic. And of course, the tip line for people who might have a tip on somebody who's done something. What's that number?
The number again is 822-1111. I will say that when my child was in preschool, and the teacher asked, "What is your phone number?" he actually said 822-1111. It was very embarrassing. Mom, you know, he needs to learn your number. You know, so he heard it a lot at home.
Right, exactly. Darlene, thank you for being with us. We always appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you and the tips that you'll have for us next month.
Thank you.
Thank you. When we come back, we'll have more Money Talk, so stay right here.
Congregations are coming together.
We are empowering our congregations to become the eyes and ears,
to speak up against crimes and violent activity in our neighborhoods.
Through the power of prayer and divine providence,
we can stop the cycle of violence.
Speak up for families.
Speak up for our youth.
Speak up for our future.
Together, we can make the city we love safe for all. For help with a loved one's case or to report a crime, call us at 822-1111 or visit crimestoppersgno.org.
Well, we'll end the show tonight with a story about horses, but unfortunately on a sadder note. Longtime Buffalo soldier Mr. Harry Hill passed away recently. He loved his family, his friends, and of course his horses. One would often find him riding alone on his horse, communing with nature. Our condolences go to his family. He was a true horseman and an aficionado to the art of horseback riding. Well, that's going to do it for Money Talks. Until next month, do something good for yourself, do something good for someone else, and to remember, stay in peace, not pieces.